They just do it. And what happens to the ones who don't follow in that freedom is they sometimes become intimidated because they think that God is blessing the other person more than them. No, everyone say it's blessing everybody alike as everybody. See, it cannot go. See, that one of the greatest lessons I ever learned was, you don't always get what you want, but you do get what you expect. And this is what spiritual mind treatment is, because spiritual mind treatment is doing what? Is allowing yourself in the moment you're in to recognize, I am not my yesterday. I am not the thoughts I used to think. We do this quite often. And every time we do it, somebody wakes up and go, oh, yeah. Everybody say, thoughts are things. I am the thinker that thinks the thought that becomes the thing. I'm not the thing, and I'm not the thought. I am the thinker. Now, the thinker's always free unless you start thinking like the thing you thought up. So we free ourselves. We cross the line. Beautiful things begin to happen. Wonderful things begin to happen. Our mind begins to contact the mind of the people, places, and things that we need to cooperate with our greater good. We begin to synchronize with new people, new places, new things, new experiences. And all of a sudden we find ourselves attracting greater good. Why? Because greater good is the frequency of our consciousness. It's what is happening within us as we move forward in this thing called life. And we know that as we give, it multiplies in return. So we honor what we are giving and pay attention to it. Because we're not only going to get what we give, we're going to multiplied, we're going to get it the way we give it multiplied. Whatever you do to the least of these, you do unto me. That's a great lesson. You see, if we walk down the streets, we talked about a couple of weeks ago, the idea that when you walk in through this thing called life, what you're seeing, as Chesterton said, is the million mask of God. The God in me greets the God in you. That's what, from India, namaste. What do you think that means? Namaste. The God in me greets the God in you. The love in me greets the love in you. Our job is to do what? Move our feet in the direction of our dream. You got it? Everyone say, I move forward in the direction of my dream. See, I don't waddle around in why it can't happen. For 36 years, I've been standing in this pulpit having my congregation and my members and my classes affirm, say it with me, you know what it is, all my dreams are waiting for me to come true. It's not somebody else. I want you to turn somebody near you and say, here's to crossing the boundary. What are you going to do over there? Now, there is a, remember, we again, Siddhartha Gautama, who became the Buddha, he was he was Indian and he was a prince, and all of a sudden, and he began to realize that there are a lot of people practicing Hinduism that were addicted to suffering. Ernest Holmes realized that in the Western thing, we're addicted to suffering. Okay. That we're here, Robert DeRopp wrote a wonderful book where he refers to Christianity as the guilt cult. The cult of guilt. Well, what if we could get rid of all that nonsense? What if we could raise our self-esteem high enough to realize that what the great have known, I can know. What the great realize they were, I am. And think from that understanding. Not about it, but think from it. Now, we look at our human experience and we can learn from it, hopefully. We see you either learn from it or you create a God that imposed it on you. And then if you believe in a God that imposes it on, remember, if you think God is a boss, then you got to live. Your religion has to be rules and regulations. But once you get the concept that God is love and it's a principle, then you can throw the rules and regulations out the window. Because why? Dr. Holmes' point, I had a Presbyterian minister who took classes with me when I first started. And when he was in third year class, he caught me aside and he said, "This is the most difficult religion in the world to practice." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Because you got to write your own rules and regulations." Dr. Holmes said, "What's right for you, do it, and what's wrong, don't." And you have sense enough to know what that is. What kind of thinking is right for you, do it. What thinking will do what? Destroy you. Stop it. Stop it. If you have anything eating away at your life, figure out how to let go and stop the process of it eating away at you, and then your body will stop eating away at you. Your life will stop eating away. Your bank account will stop eating away. Everything will stop eating away at you if you stop eating away at you. Everyone say, whatever yesterday was, and whatever choices I made seemed appropriate at the time. That was then. This is now. I'm wiser now. I think from now, not then. See, one of the great lessons we teach, and this is one of the main things in first year class that wakes people up, is the fact that a lot of times people will start exploring this principle that's not exclusive with us. Nobody has a copyright on truth. Unity has it. Divine Science has it. All the great thinkers have known it. There's a golden thread that binds it all together. Get the dogma, creed, ceremony, rituals out of the way. Wham, you got religious science. Okay. But what happens to people is they come up with this great idea and they're trying to see it through yesterday. The challenge is to wake up and realize it's good enough to be true, be in the now, and then instead of trying to see now through yesterday, see yesterday through now, and you can turn every negative in your life into a positive. See yesterday from what you know now and get rid of the resentment and the anger and all the nonsense. How many know people just got an anger list they've been hanging on to for years? Just anger, 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 anger. Go ahead. Okay. I love everybody but my list. I forgive everybody but my list. And then they get together with their other people who have list and compare list. All right. I love the quote by Oliver Wendell Holmes. It's also attributed to Einstein. Here's what it says. And Einstein and Oliver Wendell Holmes. I love Oliver Wendell Holmes. Anyhow, Einstein and Oliver Wendell Holmes said, "A mind once stretched to a new idea never returns to its original dimensions." Let's put that in our terms. Say with me. When I see anything in a clear way, I can never go back and accept a vague explanation of it. Okay. Now, a lot of people just know about it. I had somebody I hadn't seen in a long, long time. I said, "Oh, at the grocery store." There. "Oh, it's good to see you, Dr. J, blah, blah, blah." And I said, "Good." I said, "We miss seeing you." And they said, "Oh, we read your textbook." And? Okay. There's a lot of people, you've heard me share this enough times. Dr. Fenwick Holmes, I was bragging about how many times I'd read the textbook. He said, "Well, you need to read it 3 or 4 times before you learn how to study it." Till you learn how to study it. So once you become what is in the textbook, all of a sudden the textbook becomes, because there's nothing in there that's saying this is what you have to do. All it's doing is saying this is how you can think. And that's unlimited. A mind once stretched to a new idea never returns to its original dimensions. Now, how many times in your life has your whole life changed because one single idea got through? I'd like it to be this morning. That's my treatment. I always treat before I come. I know that everybody who needs to be here is here, and I know that whatever needs to be heard is heard. And that you leave giving thanks that you were here, because if you're going to get it, we have people driving all the way from Sacramento coming here on Sunday morning, and I know if they're going to take this time. Where did you come from this morning?
Well, I could say we came from home in Fair Oaks. Actually, we spent the night in Walnut.
You did, but you live in Sacramento. But anyhow, we have the challenge is I know and honor the fact every Sunday that if you take the time to get up and get dressed and take your part of your weekend and come here, I want you to leave with something that's worth your time. And whether it's me or Reverend Dar or the Reverend Dr. Cynthia or Reverend Mary Jo or Reverend Lacey or whoever's up here speaking, is that we are all dedicated to you having a better life because you made the choice to get up on Sunday morning and come here. Reverend Ike, my dear friend, and over many, many years, used to point out that in relationship to the love offering that comes, he always pointed out to all of his colleagues, he said, if you don't give them anything, they won't give you anything. So we're here to give you everything you need to manifest a healthier, happier, more prosperous life in this thing called life. How many got your handout this morning? If you have it, hold it up with me and look, I have another Einstein quote here. I love this. Must be Einstein morning. You know, Albert Einstein taught at our institute, the Institute of Religious Science School of Philosophy. One of our teachers there was Albert Einstein, who said in an article he wrote for Science of Mind magazine, Dr. Ernest Holmes is the most intelligent human being I've ever met. I love it. Remember when George Bendel was here and he told us about when Ernest Holmes met Einstein? He said Ernest Holmes took his niece and went to Einstein's home, and he's sitting out in the foyer waiting to meet him, and Einstein's on the other side of the door, and Ernest Holmes was pacing back and forth because he was about to meet the great Albert Einstein on the other side of the door, and on the other side of the door, Albert Einstein was pacing back and forth because he was about to meet Ernest Holmes.